Welcome back to Cover Your Assets. We've got Derek Walgrave, Craig Nestor, and Todd Rooker all in the house at your disposal. 855-835-8500. We're talking financial tactics for the 21st century. Great guest coming up, guys. What are we going to do?
We're going to be talking about how to position yourself for financing to be able to qualify for loans, not only for a primary home, but also for investment properties, and how you'll be looked at by a mortgage company, by a bank that's going to offer you financing. And rather than walking in the door and dumping all your stuff on a banker's desk or a loan originator's desk, you position yourself prior to that to look in a certain way to create the transparency that you need to so that you can qualify for the financing and you're a slam dunk, as opposed to what brokers are typically dealing with, which is loans that seemingly go on and on forever and then never actually close.
Well, in my situation, it's a little bit different. People typically come to me, and the first question is, should I make my next payment? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's a couple months after they've already made that decision. And if they would have contacted us 60 days sooner, there was a refinance possible that they were not even aware of. People believe that they don't have access to get these low rates, or aren't they historic? Heidi, welcome to the show. What's happening with the rates today?
Right now we are at a 60-year.
Hang on one second, Heidi. We got to get some little technical assistance here to get you online. Now talk to me.
Are you ready now?
No, not yet. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Okay, good morning. As far as the rates right now, lowest level in 6 decades, averaging on a 30-year fix 4.09.
Wow.
On a 15-year 3.29.
Oh.
And what people are not seeing is that, for first-time home buyers, investors, or people that actually do or do not have the equity in their home, there's a chance and an opportunity for them to take $200 to $300 off of their mortgage payment, because they're at 6.5% right now, and they're kind of doing the what should I do? But we do have programs that are
Or
available.
they don't think that there's anything that they can do.
Correct.
And they check with a source that maybe doesn't have the caliber or product line that Rubicon has, so they don't know that you can be a little bit upside down, even a little bit more than a little bit upside down, and still take advantage. Isn't that correct?
Correct. Or they watch CNN and they get scared.
Well, I'm sorry, but I represent, a lot of people out there. When you hear historic lows, interest rates are at historic lows. We've heard it for so long now. We don't hear it anymore.
Well, part of the problem with people is they don't react to anything until it affects them, directly.
That's a good point.
And they'll look at a current rate, which may be an adjustable interest-only loan that's hovering at 3% and 3.5%, and even some cases lower than that. And they assume, why in the world would I refinance at 4%? Well, first of all, you're in an interest-only loan that has enormous volatility associated with it. And I hate to tell you, folks, but interest rates are going to go up at some point. And when they do, that's going to dramatically affect your ability to make that mortgage payment in the future. So the volatility associated with adjustable rate mortgages lends itself to the fact that you want to be looking for some place to land, as Craig likes to say, and that means a fixed-rate mortgage that you can depend on for the life of the loan. This is the time to do that. But until the payment goes up and it adjusts by 2 points in one fail swoop, and all of a sudden, oh my God, the payment goes up $500 to $1,000 a month, then they want to do it. Well, then maybe the interest rates have gone up dramatically as a result, and now you can't do it. So you need to recognize that adjustable rate option arms, interest-only loans are loans that need to be locked in tightly at a time when you can access the best interest rates that exist. And the programs that are out there might enable you to access as much as 125% of the value of your home to be able to refinance. And even if you have a second mortgage, you can subordinate and keep that second mortgage in the same position and just refinance the first, which is going to be the biggest issue anyway.
Correct.
Absolutely. So, Heidi, what kind of phone calls are you getting today?
A lot of them, we kind of do a navigation, because a lot of people are at that breaking point of wondering what to do next. And so it's literally just it's navigating through people's scenarios, and it's people that want to refinance, or they don't think that they can, but they're able to, because we have the programs that are available. But also people that want to do the move up. They want to buy a new home. They want to get into a better neighborhood. They want to move forward, but they can't because they're upside down, per se, on their primary home. But, like we've talked about before, Derek, you can maybe touch on this as well. It's also a renter's world right now. And a lot of people need to rent just because of maybe some situations that they've been in, whether it's a divorce, lost job, or what have you. There's a lot of people that need to rent homes right now. So, you look at a move-up buyer that wants to be in a better home when the country's on sale right now and they can get into a larger home with their family that's growing and going to school and what have you. So it's just every scenario is different and everybody is so unique right now. It's not the cookie cutter anything.
I want to touch on something that she just brought up. It's a renter's world. Don't think that means that renters are in a good position. If you want to think back to the old days when the market was hot and you would show up to a home whose sign just went up in the yard today and there's already 3 offers on the table. Think about renting in that way.
Right.
You go out to find
Absolutely.
a competitive property whose rents are competitive in the market, and you'll find so many people trying to rent that property, you don't know what you're doing. So as an investor, those are the people who are really in the driver's seat today, who own investment properties, whose values are not upside down, and they're in a strong position. In fact, the people who do tenant management, they'll tell you they're not interested in renters. Hey, I want to refer renters to you. They'll laugh at you and say, I got all the renters I need. I need properties to rent. We have in this entire country one of the top 3 rental markets in the country, meaning that we have way more renters than we have housing for. So as an investor, it's a tremendous opportunity if you want to buy and hold a property and make money in that business. Today's the time, Derek.
Absolutely. And that's something that we talked about in a previous show, that you can cash flow on properties. We're not having, investors are not coming into this market going, okay, I'm going to break even. I'm going to buy a property, break even. It's going to appreciate 10 or 12%. I'm going to make a killing in a year. I'll flip it into something else, or 1031 into something else. You cash flow. It's amazing what you can buy in this market for rental properties. And just as Todd said, I know investors that are buying properties, and 2 days before they close, they stick their sign in the property, which technically you're not supposed to do, but they do. And I'm not kidding you. They've got a lease signed the day that they close on that property. It's amazing.
Well, the math says move up. So we look at this historical low interest rate, historical low cost of property. The math says move up. Maybe you can sell, maybe you can't. However, it's a rental option now. So you have a chance to rent out that home without having to worry about selling in this market and still cash flow. Amazing opportunity.
Absolutely, and that's a great point, because we talk about selling your home and moving up, and the change off on, well, you're taking a loss on your sell, but you're much larger gain on the up buy. But when you look at it in that scenario where you're renting your property and you're not selling it, if you qualify for a move up, not only are you riding out the market that on your home that you're selling, that you're renting, and you're cash flowing, you're moving up and you're making this huge equity stake, and especially if you're buying right. Because if you're buying a distressed property and you know what you're doing and you're being represented correctly, there's just, look, there's different perspectives in this room, and I agree. But I'm a real estate broker, and I can tell you that there are some fantastic opportunities to buy in this market.
And think about down the years from now when people will look back at what prices have done, because we expect appreciation to start occurring at some point in the future. They'll wish that they'd gotten on board.
Everybody's going to look at this market in hindsight and say, my God, why did I miss that opportunity? But see, this is more about the whole thing about Heidi and Rubicon Mortgage, which is you got to position yourself, because when people look back, they'll say, yes, interest rates were at all-time lows, but underwriting guidelines have changed and it's tougher to qualify for financing. But that doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means you need to prepare for it adequately.
Right. And the scenarios, for example, a scenario where I had a client call in, they wanted to do a home equity loan, and it just wasn't the time, and they wanted to put $60,000 into their home, and they're already kind of upside down, but they wanted to add a room, add an addition. And so we talked a little bit about it, and I said, why don't you refinance where you're currently at and buy what you want? Because you can right now. So we reduced his interest rate almost 2%. And his payment went down significantly. So they refinanced their primary home. Now they're going to rent that out, and they're going to purchase another where their payment is close to the same as what their mortgage payment was currently. And they're not going to be $100,000 upside down because they just invested another $60,000.
Ah, that's a pretty good idea. So guys, talk about how, again, the synergy. We've got, Todd Ricker here. We've got Craig Nestor. We've got Derek Walgrave. We know how basically you work together as a team. And Rubicon is another one of the, outer lying one of our partners. And how do you refer business back and forth, and how does it generally work?
Whenever a person comes in who's going through a compromised position, they're always thinking, And even if they don't say it, a lot of times they'll tell you they don't care if they ever own a home or real estate again. They'll say that. Because why? Because they're beaten up, and they really believe that because the brunt of their problem may be real estate. But the reality is the day that it's over, they're concerned with how do I get myself back on my feet and rebuild my credit, which really means how long until I can buy a house again.
Yep.
So the reality is you have to be focused and concerned with underwriting guidelines, because when you look at a person who is in a bad situation as it relates to qualifying for financing, credit, debt to income ratios, and all these things, you say, all right, in 2 to 3 years, how will you need to make this person look so they can qualify for financing? They're not even thinking about those things. They need to be. And that's why when I work with a person, I don't care what they say to me. I'm looking at it and I'm saying, how do I get this person into a place where they can qualify for a loan in 2 to 3 years, whether they say they want to or not? But when they get there, they won't want to hear that it's going to take them 3 more years to
Right.
qualify.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is 95% of Americans store away for their future through real estate. It's been a retirement vehicle for generations. Only 4% of us have money in the stock market of any significance. Real estate is the answer. It is the answer today. It was the answer in 2005. It just looks different than it did, and you have to set up financing differently. Derek, would you agree with this? It's different how you posture people going into a buy.
Absolutely, and again, it goes back to the need and want. But from Rubicon standpoint, and again, we look at this real estate market and the opportunities, the rates and mortgage options right now. I mean, it's like the stars have aligned. And you're right, Todd. People will look back at this and go, I wish the ones that could have bought, I wish I would have bought.
How could I not see this?
Right.
What was I afraid of?
Right, exactly.
Absolutely. We are talking here on Cover Your Assets with Heidi Pavelga from Rubicon Mortgage. We've got Todd Rooker, Craig Nestor, Derek Walgrave, all the way up until 9 o'clock. Join us at 855-835-8500 if you like now or after the show. And go online to coveryourassets21.com.
I've got my spine, I've got